See that? You push the record button and it asks you for options. Do you want to record over here or you want to record over there? This is the third time I pushed the record button and nothing happened. So now it's recorded. Can you believe that? Welcome to Pork and Bean Show, everybody. Pork and Bean
Yeah,
starts
it
off with
is.
chaos and ends up with love.
It's the Arla and Mike show. And we've got Kelly Rainbow Butterfly with us today. And we're excited. She's had a lot of stuff going on.
She's in the
And
mountains and there's a lot of mist in the mountains. That's why we
yes,
misty.
well, she's a mysterious woman. So,
Oh,
how
must be my
are you,
studio.
Kelly?
How old am I?
How are you?
Oh, I was like, okay, I'll tell you my age too. No, actually, this is my 44th year in this body. So, but
Oh,
otherwise,
wow.
no, I'm great and I'm fabulous. I went
Awesome.
to a concert last night and just got home like a few hours ago. So bear with me because I'm really my
You're
brain's not awake yet. I'm having
you're
my
still
morning
young.
coffee.
Yep, you're still
Yeah.
young. You can handle that. So, what
Yeah.
is it that you want to share with us today?
Oh my gosh. You guys are gonna have to ask me questions because I don't even know where to begin.
Oh, I
I
got a
could
question.
share
I
on
got a
all kinds of
question.
different things.
I got a question. Do you know where to begin?
Yes, you have to
Okay.
raise your hand first. Yes, Michael.
Where do you begin?
That's a very good
Silence.
question.
I love
That's
it.
a deep. That's a deep. Where do you begin? Yeah, I don't know. I begin my morning here with you, drinking my wonderful cup of mushrooms and dandelion and all of these things. But
Is that mushroom
where do I
coffee? Is
begin?
that you buy that? It's mushroom coffee, right?
It's a mushroom blend. It's got like 10 different types of medicinal mushrooms in it. And I use a dandy blend, which has dandelion and chicory root and some different things like that. And then I add some adaptogens like ashwagandha. Anyway, great. So
Hmm.
So you're a
yeah,
witch
with a
first thing in
little
the morning.
splash
Well,
of
the first thing in
coffee
the
in it
morning, you're a
because
witch. Is that right?
yeah, of course,
Doing
every
all
day,
this
all
it's
day,
alchemy in
every
it.
day. Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
Oh yeah. All day, every day. Late last night, I was blending up some concoction for a toothache for a friend too. So yeah, yeah. I do all kinds of things. I can't move my computer here, but I have absolutely been loving working with plant medicines and all of the wonderful herbs and everything that the earth gives us. So I've been making lots of salves and tinctures and teas and everything like that. So that's like one of my big passions and what I'm really into and helping others. I make it for myself too. Of course, that's kind of the idea began because it gets expensive to keep buying it. But I love to be out in nature and just learn about plants and everything. So I'm always out there foraging and gathering different things and making tinctures. You use fresh plant matter and put it in alcohol to preserve it, for that medicine. And then I make all kinds of different tea blends. I dry herbs for teas, and then salves that I make, to put on topically to help with different things. And yeah, anyway, it's really wonderful. It's made a huge difference in my life, and it's just a wonderful passion that I love to just keep exploring and keep doing and making and gifting to people and sharing that because yeah, as a society we need to like really return back to nature if we really want to see more balance in health and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. And the
Oh,
Sasquatch have taught me so much about all of this too. Like that that's, they're kind of the catalyst of this passion within me too. I've just, Arla too. I mean, you've been doing this like forever. So yeah, I mean, for many years, this Sasquatch have helped point out different herbs to me or something, or I'll, just question something within myself, like, well, what do I need for this? And then there'll be an herb here and I look it up and it's like, holy crap, that's exactly what I need. It's sitting right here beside me. All I have to do is, pluck it from the ground. I always give thanks. I always ask permission and everything too, and give some tobacco or give something in exchange. And yeah, so it's just been really amazing and wonderful learning about our planet and everything that's provided for us here.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
mother has what we need. All we have to do is connect with that and then begin to learn. And what you said about the Sasquatch helping you, I've talked to so many people who that was their connection to the Sasquatch. They made a connection, and then that was what they were going to be taught, because those things are important and they're as much a healing for us as other things that we do to heal ourselves. I know years ago I had some health issues, and I had asked to be guided into what I needed. And I found slippery elm inner bark. I found like a wreath of it all wrapped up. And it was just laying there where I knew she sat from her butt print. I knew that that's where she sat and did things. And so I would go there sometimes and just talk. And that was very healing as well. But some of the native people that I have talked to said that they are bringing back to them the old ways of medicine that even native people have walked away from. And that was very interesting to me. I mean, they're bringing back ceremonies, they're bringing back things to them that their particular tribe didn't do anymore for whatever reason. So, I mean, they help us in as many ways as we need help. They are there to do that.
Exactly. Yes. And I'm so grateful for that too. And to be on that path of discovering all of that and being able to work with it and to help others and to teach others all of that too. Yeah. And it's especially a tender subject, with the Native Americans and the tribal peoples and everything, because it could be, like you said, like one way or the other. They're already following that, or they've just been so conditioned with, basically the way the world is now, that they don't see that clearly, or they don't practice that anymore. So even just bringing that to their awareness, it kind of triggers something kind of like, oh yeah, like that's how it's supposed to be, So and where I live here in Northeast Washington, it seems the community is just really, really growing and expanding in these holistic ways. It's really beautiful to see. There's just so much like farming and gardening and permaculture and herbal use and everything going on here. Just a real conscious community, and so it's beautiful. I love being here. I know the Sasquatch like totally placed me here too, So, and everything's thriving.
Yeah. You're building a community there. All that are in that community are continuing to build a sustaining community
Yes.
that could
Yes.
continue on if there were problems, and that's so important. And especially when you're talking about medicines and things and what you need to do there, and
Right.
down to how to grow this, how to treat the earth in the way that we're supposed to treat her. I mean, we weren't put here to trash her
Yes.
by any means. And whether, that goes back a long ways. But it's wonderful. I get to see what you're doing through your Facebook page. Okay. They're gone this weekend to this, and they're bartering and trading and doing things. And that's so important too, because that helps us sustain ourselves without the energy of actual money. I have an excess, and I'm going to either give it to you or barter with you, because there is something that you're doing that I need. And that's such a special community to walk into that.
It is. Yeah, it really is. So we try to implement that, and like whatever. What happened?
There you are.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. But in whatever gatherings that we're having, or helping to host or whatever, we always try to implement that barter and trade system. I mean, sometimes it's cash is the best way, reciprocity or whatever, it depends. But with bartering and trading, yeah, it's really beautiful. We do a trade blanket ceremony at a lot of our gatherings, and that's where it's usually takes place at night, like around natural light, like a campfire, and people come and trade their items, but it's kind of like, it's more of like a silent ceremony kind of thing. And then there's like these big events that we're going to next year, or next week, next year too. But the barter fair, the Okanagan Family Barter Fair, and that is just so awesome. It's this huge village that pops up overnight. It's a city. It's this wonderful hippie city. It's the coolest thing in the world. All these rows and rows and rows of people that are bartering and trading, and this is the 51st year that they've been doing it.
Wow.
And it started with the idea of produce. That's why it's in the fall, so people would come and trade and their produce and everything like that. So that's still going on, but after 51 years it's grown and into something so much bigger. And it's not just this fun festival, which it is, but it's a community and it's a family, and everybody looks forward to it. It's year after year. Once you go once, you got to keep going, because it's your family. It's like your home, so we really look forward to that. Yeah.
That's awesome, and like I said, I get to keep up with all this stuff you're doing, and
I have to keep up with it too.
It's truly amazing. That little flyer, it wasn't even everything. It didn't talk about your publications and your events and stuff like that. It's just amazing. Pork and Beans is, we focus on people who are friends and family with a Sasquatch. And there's not a whole lot that, are in that category, but you're definitely one of those people who have been an amazing success story and a champion of the Sasquatch, and the Sasquatch consider you friends and family. And, it's just such a pleasure to have somebody who's been what did I say, Arlen, when we started? I said she's like unrecognized, unacknowledged.
It was an unacknowledged icon, or
what
was it?
You're not really, out there as like an expert, but you've got the foundation of so many people's
Yeah.
experiences, so many people, and put so many people together. When you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
events, it puts people together. And that's, I think, what the Sasquatch want. That's like a big thing on the
Yeah.
agenda.
It is.
It is. It is. It's the getting together. That's, how everything is. It's wonderful to have the internet and Facebook and to have, the social media so that we can talk to each other across the world and see each other, and that's great. But there's nothing like coming together and sharing this
No.
space and this energy, or,
Uh,
holding hands or singing a
yeah.
song,
Yeah.
or yeah, just it makes such a huge difference. And the Sasquatch have definitely called me to keep gathering people in this way. So, and so it started off as like the conference, and then evolved more into, what's called now the Sasquatch Family Reunion, because which is still, it's basically the same thing, but it's really is a family reunion. That's really more what it's about than a conference where you're just going to learn knowledge, or to
Yeah.
learn so, and you do learn a lot, but it's really more about healing, getting together and healing and talking, and the connections. And people do have wonderful Sasquatch experiences. Sometimes often it's their own unique experience, because they're coming together and doing this healing, or doing this clearing and opening up to the possibilities. And then, the next morning you hear them go, oh my God, you'll never believe what happened last night, kind of thing. Just because they opened up to it and had all these other
Yeah.
people supporting that, and understanding, because it also makes a big difference when you don't have a support system, and you don't have friends and family to talk to about these things. So that's why I love to have host these gatherings, because people can just be themselves, be their raw emotion, open up to people, and they feel comfortable with people. And that makes the biggest difference, for everything, for everyone, for all the emotions that we feel, and our healing, and our, being able to grow consciously. It makes a huge difference when others are growing consciously with you,
Yeah.
you
It
know.
does. I know in the
Yeah.
gatherings that I've held over the years, um, and the ones that I held annually, people who would come the first, and they always felt like they had met family by the time they left. But what I saw was that big change of the energy of the gatherings. And I know I did
Hmm.
gatherings for years in Georgia. And the first year was 2013. And it was wonderful. I met people that I'm still so in love with and are so much a part of my life. And others came and more came. And when you've got a group of people that have a like heart, they don't even have to have a like mind, but if their heart
Hmm.
is open, the chances that they're going to have something happen is just so much greater. They're in a safe space, and they know that when they go to what you're doing, because they know you. They know this
Right.
is who she is. This is what
Hmm.
people are saying she is. And so immediately, whether they know you or not, there is that level of trust that they have. And that's a very important thing. And so they come, and then the energy, it'll just be phenomenal when you have people like that come together. And so, yes, uh, that's going to happen. People have asked me, well, you're there, so yeah, something's going to happen. No, 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 not for me. I'm going to be there, and I know my heart's where it's supposed to be, but you're going to have your own experience. I'm not going
Right.
to enter into that experience because I don't want you to have my experience. I want you to have your own experience.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you give that place to people. And that's why your gatherings and the gatherings that you're going to are just growing so
Mhm.
phenomenally. You know, that energy's there, and that love and acceptance and trust. And that's what our world needs.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, bless. Thank you. And to go back to what you said about unacknowledged, I don't remember what you said. But yes, thank you. And somebody recently said that like I'm a hub. That's how they described it, kind
Yeah.
of a hub. And that made sense to me because, you know, I see that too. It's so amazing to like look on Facebook and to see all of these people that are connected and knowing that they're connected basically
Yeah.
through me or through the energy that I've put out and helping
Yeah.
people to connect. And it's like, oh my God, this is like this community is thousands of people all over the
Mhm.
world. And it's really amazing. So even if they're not all at one place at one time,
Right.
I'm able to see how this is growing and expanding, and the consciousness is, you know, just leaps and bounds, and it's all over the world too. The Sasquatch Message to Humanity books, now they've been translated in French and Spanish and German and Indonesian
That's
and
wonderful.
I think I'm missing one, I think. But yeah, it's really wonderful, and
Did you translate it into
it keeps
Canadian? There's a lot of Canadians up there that need.
eh? We'll just add the A after every. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. Yes, and
Oh my gosh.
it's very popular in Canada too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing that makes me happier than to connect someone with someone else.
Yes.
And for that to grow, for someone to come to me and for me to work with them, and then for them to understand who they are and what they feel they should be doing. And then they reach out
Yes.
and touch someone else and help someone else. That's that seed planting thing that I've always talked about. You know, we plant seeds. Sometimes we get to watch how those seeds have grown that we've planted, and that's always special. And that's basically what you did. You planted some seeds of love and sharing, and those grew. And they're continuing to grow, and you get to see the manifestation of growth of some of those seeds that you planted, which is always so awesome.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And thank you for the validation with that too. Yeah, that's really beautiful. And you know, so I know I'm like not as active on the internet and stuff as I was like several years ago, especially when the books were being published and everything like that. But you know, I'm still doing the work. It's just it's more behind the scenes. It's a little bit more, if you want to say, underground, because I'm still doing all of these things, but I also recognize that it's everybody's individual journey. So I like to work with people more, you know, one on one, still gatherings and everything. You know, but it is an individual journey. And so it's a lot, it's nice when you could just work on yourself, help others to work on themselves and everything like that. But you know, I've also just been just life, you know, like I said, I'm going out and being in the woods more, foraging, working with the plant medicine, and you know, doing different energy work and just staying busy with like constant things going on. So I don't have the time to sit behind the computer. I really used to, you know, and so I was kind of feeling like, oh, maybe I should do more, because I'm feeling this little nudge from the Sasquatch, you know, just it's always this little gentle, and because I know that there's writing on the way. There will be more books published. I don't know if it would be part of Sasquatch Message to Humanity, quote unquote, but similar. Also, my personal story. I've written out so much and haven't published anything with that yet. So all of that's on the way. And when I was thinking kind of like, oh, okay, like I need to, get on this and more projects to do and stuff like that. The Sasquatch just gently remind me that no, you're exactly where you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're exactly where you're supposed to be right now, and all of that, And so since those books have been published, I mean, it keeps growing and growing and growing, and people hear about these gatherings or different things, and now there's so many people, like, so it's been like 10 years at least. That's been 10 years since I moved to Washington anyway. So I've been into the Sasquatch community, I guess you could say, for longer than that. And Arla, you have seen, oh my God, both of you've seen how much it's grown in the last decade. And all of these people writing books and then having these wonderful shows like this. Like, thank you so much for opening this space for people to come on here and share their stories and stuff. It all makes people feel more comfortable and confident with, okay, well, yeah, this is what I'm experiencing too, and I can open up about it and share about it, and I'm not going crazy, and all of these different things. But there's been so many more books written, so many more people sharing information, and it's just really wonderful to see that. And it adds validation to all of it too, if it's a naysayer or a doubter that even kind of like, oh, do the Sasquatch really exist kind of stuff. Well, it's hard to deny it when you can see dozens or hundreds of people having similar experiences. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. You came to, or went to, since I'm not there in Washington, but you didn't live very far from me. We never got to get together. It's been like this thing, oh yeah, I'm gonna come, and then something would happen, and I couldn't. And I am now, I've spoke it, so we're gonna see where it
so
goes.
You'll be here this year, right?
That I'll be able to spend about a month in Washington and Oregon. And I'll have to go into Canada too. But hopefully that, and like I said, I spoke it, we'll see where the universe is going to take me. I've done a little, added another road that's actually on the same road, but in talking more about the Star Nation people and what they've given me now to share. And so that's added on to what I've been doing. So I'm even at this point unsure where that's going to take me, and I'm fine with that too. I've done everything I've done since I first came into this, not knowing where I was going to go or what was going to happen, but just knowing that I was doing what I was doing on faith, and knowing that I was supposed to do that. So but yeah, I do hope to be able to spend some time out there, because I've got so many friends out there, and that I always wanted.
I intend that you are able to come out here and spend the time with all of the people and places that you wish to, and that it aligns with the Sasquatch family reunion so that you can attend that.
And I agree. And excellent. I agree. So let it be written, let it be done.
So be it, and so it is.
When I was first kind of introduced to, I had a strange introduction to the Sasquatch people through a rock talked to me. But in that first week, it was like friends and then family. So from 2012 to now, I've been watching this, you know. If you look at the ET people, it started off, they were monsters, they're going to eat your face, pod people, they're abducting you and breeding with you and all this. But then, you know, it got to be the 90s and the year 2000, 2005, and these people talk about, oh, I'm a starseed and I'm this and my family is the Arcturians and my family is the Lyrans, you know? And so people talk identifying as family. And then the Sasquatch people too. The people who have that connection to Sasquatch are friends, but then that goes turns into family real quick. So
Mhm.
we're at the part where people that don't even know that you could be friends and family with the Sasquatch people. But that's what the wave is that we're at, the way I see it, we're at now. That's why I do this show with Arla, is because I want to showcase the people who are friends and family with the Sasquatch people. Because I don't know about you, but I mean, it's not friends for me anymore. It's been family for years. They're
Mhm.
part of me. They're like in my breath. So I
Exactly.
think that's where the world is going, and we're getting front row seats to this epic transformation of humanity.
Yep. That's
Yes.
really cool.
Wonderful.
I like watching all of this happen and all of it change, and boy, has it changed. And
Oh,
it's so awesome. And especially on Facebook, because that's this microcosm of the universe of what's going on.
I know it.
But now, oh my gosh, it's a delight. And it used to be, no, I don't want to be a part of your group. No, I don't want to be part of your group. No, I don't want to have anything to do with that. And I see, oh my gosh, so much
Mhm.
opening and happening and creating community groups.
Yeah.
Even more so, you've got this community that's come together in this area. And it's
Mhm.
not like this gigantic group, but it is a cohesive community
Yes.
that is wanting to learn, and their mind and their heart are so open to learn whatever's presented. They're not saying, no, you can't talk about this, or no, you can't talk about that. Let's talk about it all. Let's see what this is. And oh my gosh, you know, that's awesome, because they're not just on Facebook doing this. They're
Right.
actually connecting with each other in the physical
Yeah.
and doing things, which is so important.
Yes. Yes, it is. And it doesn't even take it's great that people do individual things, doing basically grid work, wherever they go. And that's what I do when I travel too. It's not just, fun events or, vacations and stuff. I do ceremony basically everywhere I go, and I'm called to different areas. Either sometimes the Sasquatch will just tell me, or I'll get the guidance from, somewhere telling me exactly where to go. Other times it's just kind of like a feeling like, oh, take a detour right here. We're supposed to be
Yeah.
there. And it's always like where
Yeah.
we're meant to be, always something that's discovered there that, either needs clearing or just, whatever it is, even if it's just an area that needs honoring.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, but then when more than one person gets together and does that, it amplifies
Yes,
with, every
it
little piece
does.
of energy that's happened to that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely does. And that, part of my trip next year will be going back and doing some things in some areas that I'm called to do those things. So, you know, it's going to happen. It's
I
already
gotta
happened.
tell you, I get like, psychic impressions or whatever. And when you said that, I saw you, well, I saw the pyramid that's in Chihuahua. there's a pyramid in Chihuahua. It's a mount, it's a mountain. But anyway, that was like superimposed over your face. So I just want to say that. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of like
It's
the
kind of
Arla
common for
symbol.
kind of common for Arla.
Yeah.
Never know who she's gonna have
Yeah,
imposed on her face.
yeah. Well, that's true too. But yeah, I just I just have that feeling. And, like I said, a lot of times you don't know you're driving down the road and you go, whoa, wait a minute. you know,
Oh,
we've
yeah.
gotta do this. And a lot of times it is just in honoring something
Yes.
that's there, whether it's an energy that's there or the land itself. Uh,
Mhm.
that's such an important part. So thank you for bringing that up. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, how
Thank you.
many gatherings next year will you be facilitating?
I never know. But
What are
for
your main ones?
for certain, the Sasquatch family reunion, and that's going to be, I think it was all blurry. I don't think you can read this. I could send a copy of it to you too. But so it's June 6th through 10th in Kettle Falls, Washington, is the Sasquatch family reunion, and it'll be its 10th year. So that's the main one, that we host.
How many
But
people do you expect?
oh, I never really know. It's actually it's not as big as it was in Chihuahua, and I'm really grateful for that. It just got too big and like commercially feeling, and I knew like there needed to be a big change and transition, and everything changed in 2020. uh for me personally, but also in the world, with the pandemic and everything. So that really changed the size of the gatherings. So now there's usually about 100 people that like come and go throughout the weekend and stuff like that. Sometimes
That's still
75.
pretty substantial.
It's a Yeah, it's a
Considering you
good
don't have
size
a
gathering.
facility, right? You don't have like a big house. You just have like a little. It's like basically a
We
campground,
do it
right?
out. Yeah, we do it outdoors at a
Yeah, so
campground now.
outdoors.
Y-
It's more
Yeah.
rustic.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a really nice place, a nice space. The place that we're having it now was the actual old historic town of Kettle Falls before they moved it, because they built the Grand Coulee Dam and said you need to move your town or it's going to be wiped away. So they did. And so where this is happening now is the old town of Kettle Falls. So it has its history with it as well. And it's really cool to see that there used to be a community there, and now there's like a new community being built there, with the gatherings and stuff that we have there. But yeah, so it's all outdoors. So that's the main event. Some other ones. So I'm all involved with the Inland Northwest Permaculture Guild. Permaculture, for anybody that doesn't know, is basically learning to be more sustainable. It's the principles of permaculture is earth care, people care, fair share. And so that's what these gatherings and classes and workshops and all of these different projects are all about. It's not just the teaching, it's the doing. That's part of the community coming together, and people get together and help each other, and with different projects that need done. But it's also just learning about how we can be more sustainable. Like we just had this gathering last week, was the 14th annual permaculture convergence, where a lot of people come together, and we learned about all kinds of different things, from like green clean to like vermicompost with worms, like soil building and stuff, how to do different types of natural fermentation. We got all messy making cob and mudding the cob house. They even showed they butchered a ram and made that out of a class so that you could learn how to, do these kinds of things, all kinds of like really wonderful things, not to mention like companion gardening, so many different subjects and topics, biochar, it's about like building the soil. So anyway, there's all kinds of different topics. Every year is a little bit different, but that's another event that we're involved in. And then next year also will be the third annual Mushroom Festival. And that's more of a fun event than, it's not a weekend gathering retreat kind of thing. The Mushroom Festival is just a 1 day thing, but it has a lot of educational pieces to it too. So it's learning to identify different mushrooms and, learning what's medicinal and what's poisonous, like, this will kill you, this will heal you, this, different things like that. But also just celebrating the mycelium kingdom. It's, we're all mushrooms. Like, people don't realize that.
Are you one of the
we
facilitators there?
wouldn't be alive without mushrooms.
Are you one of the facilitators there, or are you just a participant of the mushroom?
I'm a facilitator. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So anyway, because I've just been like so busy with different things, that this year's Mushroom Festival was a lot bigger than last year's, and it was a struggle for me physically, mentally, everything. It was difficult. It was wonderful, but I put so much energy into that I depleted myself, and I was sick for a good while. I was sick for a few months. And couldn't really recoup because so anyway, so next year I'm learning, just how involved I can get in things, and these groups and, volunteers are growing and everything like that. But what I'm finding is that bigger is not better. It's more, it's more work, especially, if you're hosting and facilitating these gatherings. I couldn't enjoy myself at this Mushroom Festival the way I wanted to, because it was just constant running around and working and physical pain and blah, 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 blah. All of these different things, too many responsibilities. So I actually like to see things shrink a little bit more, return more to the grassroots. The reason the Mushroom Festival was like so big and just overwhelming this year was because we had so many different vendors come, and we wanted that, but we had like over 50 vendors sign up, and wow. I was managing that. Yeah, I was.
So you have a couple hundred people and 50 vendors? That's wild.
And I've never managed anything like that, and it was just it was a challenge. And so anyway, so now we're looking, that's why I said I feel like things were getting too commercial, and it's like, no, we need to return to the grassroots of things. It's about the gathering and the education more than it is like the people pleasing. That's not what it's about.
I have to step away for a minute. I got some tractors outside.
Okay. Yeah. So besides that, I don't even know what's going to come up. I wait for the guidance with different things. I've been feeling for quite some time now. And so I think I'm going to put this together like next fall, basically about a year from now, a holistic fair here in this area, because I know so many healers, so many people with so many different healing modalities and things available to them, people that make products, but there's also energy healing, and there's body work, and there's people that, have a lot of knowledge about, what astrology and tarot and numerology and all of these different subjects. So it would encompass all of that. So that's another gathering that, or event, however you want to put it, that is going to be in the works. And I don't know what that'll look like yet. That would also be here in the Northeast Washington area. But then also, like, wherever we decide to travel, for whatever reason, like we went to Arkansas a few years ago, and that was to visit, but it was also like, I've had so many people ask, well, are you going to have a gathering out this way or out that way, and everything like that. So I feel that there's going to be like an East Coast gathering happening at some point. Honestly, it was looking for a long time like that was going to be in Asheville, North Carolina. We all know how Asheville's looking right now. And that really hit home for me. And I know a lot of people there, a lot of people, we all know a lot of people actually in that area. Now I know several, they're all accounted for and they're all safe. They're all doing well. So I'm so grateful for that. So it looked like something was possibly going to be happening there. Maybe it still will. I mean, these waters are going to recede and things need to be rebuilt. And maybe that's exactly where that kind of energy needs to be. So we'll see how that comes. But I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be an East Coast gathering somewhere. If it's not North Carolina, it might be Florida. It might even be New York. So yeah, but you'll all know when I know, because I'll be sharing about it.
That's awesome. And those things need to be done.
Oh, I lost I don't hear you. There's no sound. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Can you still hear me?
Okay, I hear you now.
Okay. I'm
Okay.
I can hear myself.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there. It just said my mic quit working. So there's so much energy and so many things going on that technology is actually having a problem with that. But yeah, that travel going other places is important. And they do have things in their area, but sometimes there needs to be another influence into that area. And so, when you get called somewhere, that's where, you go. I know in the beginning, when I first came into all this, I was traveling all the time. I mean, coast to coast. And it was just interesting. And I would think, well, I mean, surely there's other people there who could do this. No, you have to come and do this. And, and so you do. I mean, it's your love.
It is, yeah. And I always find there's always people to help collaborate no matter what. And that's how I know like it's meant to be too, because the people, they come to me. I don't even really have to seek them out. Or if I do, it's the most simple, like, message like, hey, how you doing kind of thing. And then it just like, it grows that way. But even the gathering that we had, the gathering of the ancients that we had in Arkansas in the Ozarks a couple years ago. I mean, so many people came out, like people in that area are like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go and check this out for you and we'll do this and, collaborate on that. So, even traveling 2,000 miles to go, to this place, still able to have this wonderful, successful gathering. Last month, is it last month? Yeah. Okay. Less than a month ago. I don't even know where I'm at in the year. We went to California, to the Mount Shasta area, Big Shasta. So some wonderful people that have been attending our gathering, the Sasquatch family reunion, for a few years. Star and Norma and Eddie, they all live in different areas. They are putting together a similar gathering, so it's like an extension of it. So it's growing, so that all of these other little pockets are having these too. The Chinos and New Mexico, they're doing things like, it seems like daily. It's like
Yeah.
every week they're having, and it's wonderful. It's all these really just high vibe events, and it's really wonderful. And some might be more focused on Sasquatch, some are more focused
Yeah.
just on the energy, like the togetherness. A lot of them are more focused on, Star Nation knowledge and stuff like that, but it's all one. It's all a part of the same
Yes.
kind of
Yep.
thing. Even in the Sasquatch family reunion, that's what we call it. But like, we're honoring everything. The dragons are there, the fairies are there, the star people are definitely there. We got lots of activity and things happening in the skies, and all kinds of. This last year we had the mermaids there, so yeah, like it's really great. It's just it's a convergence in itself of all of these different nations and all of these, just wonderful people from everywhere that come together.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's basically what, what many of us hope to do is to bring everything together.
Mm-hmm.
And, whatever it is. And, you still got those people that say, oh, that can't exist. But then, somewhere down the line, there's that possibility that they can find out that
Mm-hmm.
they do exist. I know I talked a little bit about Matthew and how we got together. And basically, we were almost there. We were still just friends, but it was, you know, becoming more than that, even though neither one of us really grasped it at the time. But it was because of his dragon that he had been a part of from the time he was young. And his dragon kept prompting him, you need to ask her. You need to ask her. And so he finally was like, okay, I'll ask her if you'll just quit, asking me to ask her, basically. And so,
Ask you out, ask for your number.
no, he asked me to be his girl.
Oh.
He asked me, would you want to be my girl? And I said yes. And I was like, I wonder how many relationships started because a dragon kept saying, you need to ask her, you need to ask her. So, that was kind of cool too. Um, but they have figured greatly in our life and even around people that we've been a part of. So, yeah, this world is so much more than what some are grasping, and it's right there. I mean, shift your paradigm and open up that heart, and oh my gosh, the things that you can experience.
Yeah,
I have a
definitely.
little funny story. I had to go out just now because the guy across the street is a tree guy, and he's he was getting his bobcat. And he was taking a root ball, a huge root ball. I mean, it was gigantic from this 50-foot oak tree. But he kept his boom truck, his bucket truck for tree trimming. It's parked in my front yard, like in front of my fence. And I was thinking before the hurricane, I was thinking, that there's a lot of tree guys in Savannah, and just from me watching this guy do work is like the trees are getting thinner and thinner. And then that tree fell on top of his bucket truck, and has got to get a new bucket truck now.
Oh.
And it's just sad because I was friends with that tree, and it was we would talk and stuff. But the tree fell right on top of his truck in front of my front yard, and it was just something kind of funny about that, like the tree's revenge on on the tree cutting guys.
Mhm. Yeah, it does sound like it.
Uh,
And that's what that was. It was a bobcat taking away that last root ball.
Is
yeah.
that your tree? It was your tree
Yeah, it
that
was a
fell?
tree. It was on our property. Yeah,
Uh, oh, I'm sorry.
but its root ball was rotten, and that's why it fell over. It was
Okay. Yeah, and that's, that's something that I've learned too. Like I feel so deeply like for all life that, and here it's a big lumber area. There's big lumber mills and everything like that. And it's just kind of like, it's like that's depressing to see all of these dead trees and everything. And so yeah, like as a society, like that happens too much, really. But it's also really been explained to me and shown how it's necessary as well. So I don't feel as bad as I used to, like, because it's kind of like, no, everything happens for a higher purpose and a higher reason. And even if you see like a person's tragic death or something like that, and you could relate that to a tree and things like that, but it's just their time, and they're not looking at it as a tragedy themselves. It was
Yeah.
their time to go, and and then there's usually a higher purpose behind all of that. When one door closes, another one opens. So
Oh,
where
yeah.
something might have died, something much more beautiful and stronger or whatever can grow. um so that's how I kind of learned to look at some of those things too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't think the tree was, so happy about dying, but at the other time it seemed like it was at peace because I put my hand on it and talked to it. But the thing about it was is it was a dying tree anyway. So when I first moved in here, like one year it has a lot of leaves, and the next year it just wouldn't put hardly any leaves out. And
Mhm.
so I would go out and talk to it, and the same guy who's the pumper, the truck got that the boom truck got smashed. He came and trimmed it, all the dead branches off of it. And so for the last 2 years, it's been just like blooming. You know what I mean? It's just been full green leaves, like it's doing something. So the last 2 years of its life, it wasn't really struggling. So
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are, but it's that connection that
yeah,
we feel to all life,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and to know that there is a process to this, regardless of what it is. Years ago, we had a horrific ice storm, and it was after um, I had said to this huge grandmother pine that was on my land, there weren't any other pines, it was just her. And I said to her, I would love it if there were pine trees everywhere. And then the next year, pine trees started coming up all over.
oh, I
Well,
believe that.
they're getting some size to them, and then we have this horrific ice storm, and they're broken, and just so many things happen to them. And I was sitting down there in that area, and my heart was broken looking at them, and I was crying. And one spoke to me and, told me that, their outside has changed, but they are still as beautiful
Mhm.
as they ever was. It was our perception that they no longer had beauty. So we talked for a while. So what she taught me, which, were teachings I had before, but she brought it in on such a personal level because I loved them. I watched them from the time they came up and grew. And then when, they were broken in so many ways.
Mm.
But that there is still beauty. Don't look at the exterior of something happened, of
Yeah.
whatever it is. Don't look at the exterior of this. Look at the inside of what's happened.
Mhm.
And that's where you're going to see the healing. That's where you're going to see the beauty. And that's what you're seeing now around Asheville, is that was going on in the side. That healing is overshadowing the chaos, even though so many are still in a bad way, that's changing. And that inner beauty now, that energy is putting itself forth.
Yes.
Yeah, the mountain is still the mountain. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it'll be rebuilt and it'll come back even more beautiful and stronger. And this is just the season for this to occur. Everything's in cycles and in seasons. Even here it looked like a fairly devastating agricultural year in this area. We had a freeze in mid-June. I think it was like June 17th. And now it's already started freezing. I think it was September 26th or something that we had our first freeze here. So that's our little growing season.
Yeah.
And things didn't do well here. There's like hardly any stone fruits. Like this area has so many peaches and plums and cherries and everything like that available, and almost all the farmers lost all of that this year. So that's just an example of like how something looks devastating, but it's also just like this just wasn't the year for it. If those things don't thrive, then other things are. It's just the setting up the conditions for what needs to happen at different times. And with our short lifespans, we're lucky if we're able to live 100 years. And that's not very long when you're, considering the whole universe and the whole cycle of time and being able to view things and how nature works. Like some things could take hundreds and hundreds of years, which is just nothing to the universe. To us, it's like, oh my God, that's a long time. But these cycles and these seasons have different patterns. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I always say that the mother does what the mother does. And yes, we can adversely affect that. And yes, sometimes we are doing that. But normally she's going to do what she's always done since her birth and she began to grow. We're going to have bad times. And for those who are connected, you see that the trees didn't get to do what they normally do. It affected everything. It affected flowers. It affected bees. It affected insects. It affects everything. We're not the only one that get affected by things that go on on this earth. And that's an important thing to understand and to share love with all of that, because it lost innocence as well.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Bless. Yeah.
So what else have you got going on this year?
Oh my goodness. The year is finally winding down for us. So I mentioned the barter fair earlier, and that is next week already. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's why this room is such a mess too. I'm just packing, unpacking. Yeah, so the barter fair, like I said, that's a big, huge community. I think there's probably like 10,000 people that come out to this. And so it's like what you might consider a tent city. It's rows and rows or roads, really, of all of these people setting up, all kinds of arts and crafts and produce, everything, wonderful things. So that's what we're doing next. And, so I bring my goodies that I make there. I make orgonite too, energy devices. So I have that, but then I also, promote the Sasquatch and the Sasquatch message to humanity and all of that. And it's really amazing to see how open people are to it, because it wasn't that long ago that people would just be like, okay, whatever, or in certain crowds, it is like that. Like been to that that the other Bigfoot festival that's not so focused on the spirit part of the Sasquatch, you know, and it gets overlooked, but not by everybody. Yeah, I mean, a lot the people that are drawn to it are meant to be drawn to it. Others are
That's
just kind of like,
right.
oh, okay, there's another woo-woo, folks. Okay.
Yep.
So you know, but that's okay. But the Barter Fair is just a big village of woo-woo people. So it's really wonderful. And yeah, so that's the next event. But pretty much it winds down. Winter arrives early here, so we are a bear family, and we like to hibernate in the winter, and that's when I'm able to, you know, just rest and recoup and gain more energy for the next year. Because
Yeah.
basically, from like April till the end of October, you know, or the end of November, really, uh, pretty active and always have something going on. So during the winter months is when I'm able to just stay at home, work with my herbs, make more art, and you know, work on different projects and stuff, and um, hopefully spending more time on the computer too. It's weird because like I want to do more on the computer, but I just feel such a resistance to it too. It's,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, I pick
Yeah.
up my phone, it's like, put that thing back down. I don't want to look at that right now. So that's just
Yeah.
it's just where I'm at right now, but also just so busy that I didn't feel I had the time or energy to commit to those different things. So
Right.
winter allows me that opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
that hibernation thing, you know, and I felt that for a while. And of course, I continue, you know, to post them on Facebook. And then, you know, I was told, well, you have to start your YouTube channel back up. And I hadn't posted anything on it since 2015. And I'm like,
Oh wow.
okay, yeah, I don't even know if it's all going to be the same, if I'm going to know what I need to do to put stuff on there. And I see all these fancy videos, and I'm like, I don't see me doing that. I see me being
Right.
Arla doing, you know, what I know to do.
Exactly.
And then they brought me the light code activation video. And I was like, oh yeah, I know where this goes. So,
Oh yeah.
you know, now they've got me in that mode, beginning to share that. And so that, you know, it's like, okay, I thought, you know, I'm just going to be in the woods and chill and post a little bit on Facebook, and no, you're not done. So,
Well,
All right. Well, I'm so
that
grateful that you are.
that activation was no joke. So
no, it's not. It's not.
it
It's
was
not at all.
three-dimensional, which has never been seen before. It's almost always in written or spoken,
Yeah,
but a three-dimensional light show. You know, because there was stuff in different dimensions going on there.
yeah. Orchestrated by an Arcturian. So that's kind of special to me as well. But it's just an extension, you know, of what I've been doing, and it's just bringing something in a different way. And I've gone on looking at a lot of the light code and light language groups, and I came across one that they don't want anything on their page but something that generated through a person. So that totally left me out of being able to share the light language that they started bringing to me. It wasn't
Mhm.
coming necessarily through me, it was being brought for me to see in the elements. And
Right.
so, you know, it's like this whole other thing. Here I am again talking about things that are different than a lot of other people are talking about this subject. And so, I liken it as when I first started talking about the Sasquatch. And, it was all like, no, no, no. And I'm like, okay, this is light language. That's what this is. These are light codes. And yet there are still those that won't accept it as that because it didn't come through me.
Right.
Which was interesting. But
yeah. And I've experienced that some too. And I don't want to say that it what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I guess it's part of the reason that some things were just kind of put aside. It's the criticism and different things like that. And it's just kind of, it just deterred me a little bit from sharing more. But that's why I share now in just different areas is what it is, in different ways. But I am so grateful for everything that you share, restarting your YouTube channel and the light codes and all of that. And when I started this whole journey with the Sasquatch, like in 2012 and 2013, you were one of the first people that I found. It was a much smaller community back then, it was actually Gray Wolf is the one that introduced me, I guess you could say, to Sasquatch. I was already acquainted with them, but I didn't know it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
What a character that guy is.
Yeah.
He's like he's like a bigger than life kind of a guy.
He is. He is. And I didn't anyway, so I didn't understand the connection. I connected with him on Facebook. It was really through the interest of something Native American that he shared. I don't know. It was like a meme from, I don't know, Chief Seattle or something. I'm just making that up, but it was some kind of Native American connection is how we connected as friends on Facebook. And so I have no idea who this person is. He sends me a message, sometimes people like, hey, how you doing? Whatever. He sends me a message that just says, I walk with Sasquatch. That's all it said. I walk with Sasquatch. And it was kind of like, whoa. It got me like, it was like your question, Michael, like, where do you begin? I was like, whoa, that's a deep question. Where do I begin? But no, just I walk with Sasquatch. And I was just like, wow. I said, don't we all walk with Sasquatch? And he goes, yeah, but I mean, like, I really, I communicate with him and everything. And it just went from there. I think maybe he was expecting somebody to be like, okay, weirdo, see you later, and I was just like, I was asking him all kinds of questions. I was like, tell me more. And, all of this. Finally, that's when he was like, yeah, actually, you should go read these books. Like, he got tired of me asking all these questions. And he told me about Kiwani's books. I never heard about him. I wrote down his name on a little piece of paper. It was like a little scrap piece of paper. I wrote down his name so that I could later look into these books. And it must have been at least a week before I did, but I kept finding this little piece of paper everywhere. It was on the desk, and then it was in my purse, and then it was in the kitchen counter, and then it was like, and then laying on the floor or something. Like, that this doesn't make any sense. I'm not moving this paper around. And so it was kind of this obvious, like, oh, okay. It took me a while to catch on. This is a sign. This is something to look into. So I did, and my whole universe changed like in an instant. When I read who the Sasquatch were, like, to the planet, and that they're these multi-dimensional beings that are the carekeepers of the planet, and that they're wise and they have these psychic abilities and everything. To me, it was just like, I don't know, it was a quickening, awakening. Just my mind, my body exploded, my heart exploded in a good way, not a bad way. Yeah, and it just it changed everything for me. And I knew, like, in that instant, that this knowledge was the rest of my life. I didn't even understand what that meant, but I just knew that, oh my God, I just finally aligned with my purpose or something like that, you know? And I didn't even understand that. I was like, well, what do I have to do with Sasquatch, you know? But then it wasn't long. Like I said, everything happened so quickly that I understood my connection, and I understood that it was always there. And I remembered things from my childhood and encounters that I had, and psychic impressions or animal communications, and all of these. And I was communicating with spirits. I was really sensitive to spirits and things like that. And it all just aligned together and made sense to me. You know, because even when I was younger with the spirits, it was weird to me, because when you're a kid, you think of that as ghosts, right? That's scary stuff and whatever. And so I didn't want much to do with it, but these ghosts or spirits of people were communicating with me, or I could see them and I could feel them, and they would bother me, especially at funerals. That was the worst. I go to a funeral and they would, anyway, it was weird to me until I learned to embrace it, until I was just like, you know, at first I was like, what's wrong with me? Or, you know, like, why am I experiencing all this? And then finally, when it was just kind of like, oh, I meant to. This is a gift. This isn't a curse. This is a gift. So once you embrace that, that's when everything changed and opened up. And that's how I understood it about the Sasquatch too. And I think a lot of people go through that. You know, if they have some kind of Sasquatch encounter, sometimes it's physical, and that could be really freaking scary. You know, but sometimes it's just a dream or something, and that's scary enough. Or sometimes it's just a story that you heard from your friend, but you know that they're serious about it and it really impacts you, you know, that kind of thing. So it was just, it was wonderful to be able to embrace that and be like, okay, now I can accept these changes, and then, you know, move into it from there. But it all just happened so quickly. Once I opened up to that, the communication started, and then meeting all these different beings, and then I came to understand that I was a part of the hybrid project, you know, working with the star nations and things too, because all of that was something in the background, something that I wasn't really consciously aware of, even though I knew there was odd things going on for me, especially in the dream state. I'm a dream weaver, I guess. You know, I have a lot of dreams that aren't dreams. They're realities, and they come in different ways. So that helped put so much into perspective for me too. Just kind of like, oh, all of these things that I've seen and projected or predicted or whatever, you know, it was a gift. And it took me a while to realize that, because I was just, for a while it felt like a curse, you know, and I kind of turned that off too. Like, I don't want anything to do with it. So I kind of turned off those abilities. But then sometimes you don't just get the nudge, sometimes you get the big push. And that's what happened. I got the big push, and it was like, okay, I'm awake, I'm here, what do you want? I'm willing to work with you and share that. But it wasn't just the experiences, it changed everything within me. My whole perspective on everything changed, you know, where just, you know, where you have more negative thinking, or where you feel like a victim, or things aren't going right, or things aren't, you know, all of that. And all of that just changed like overnight. Really, it did. My whole perspective on everything. And I started giving thanks for everything and seeing the positivity in everything. And so it was really beautiful. Just and I really feel like the Sasquatch had a lot to do with that. They really opened and expanded my heart in a big way. Right now, my heart's doing this flutter. That's how I always know they're around too, because I feel this fluttering.
I got chills listening to your story.
Yeah.
I'm not like Brian. I'm kind of like that. It takes a lot for me to get chills. Brian will say hello or sneeze, and he'll get, oh, I'm getting a message.
Oh my gosh. Kelly, what you reminded me of in talking about that was something that Kashima told me that was going to happen when I first came into this. And, I've done this since I was a little girl. And it was all accepted for me because I had my grandmother as support. If my mom had been my only support when I went through all that, I don't know where I'd be. But one of the things he told me, we were talking about uh, new people coming in, and he said there's going to be an explosion. And I'm like, an explosion? And he said, yes, an explosion of heart. And when that happens, then there are going to be these people that it's like all of a sudden they had this spiritual explosion and everything just came back together. And that understanding was there. And I asked him, well, what will be my part in that? Is there something that I'm going to be able to do? I mean, I've been through this lifetime. And he said, yes, you are to be there to help when that happens. If it's just a word, if you're doing nothing but listening to these people who are having this happen, you are to bring the wisdom that you've gained in helping them. And so what I understood was there were going to be all these people coming that had an explosion. Oh my God, it's not what I thought it was. It's really this. And how can I do this and this and this? And the whole thing wasn't for me to tell them to do anything, but it was to be there with them when they began to find their way to who they were. And shifting that paradigm is so important. And that's that explosion. And I don't know how many people I saw during that time period. There were people that did not want their name talked about in that. They didn't want it out in the public that all this was going on with them, but they knew they could come and talk to me and I wasn't, going to say anything about it. But it was so awesome to see it. And you brought all that conversation back because that's basically what I saw in so many people at that point. They exploded spiritually, and then all of those parts came back, put together like they were supposed to be for that person to do the walk that they had agreed to do.
Well, thank you for being there, holding space for everybody, and for being just a beautiful example of all of that. Like I said, finding you at that time meant so much to me, Arla. It really did. I remember seeing a video of you drumming for the Sasquatch, and I just cried and cried and cried. It touched my heart so much. I'm sorry, I'm getting all emotional. That's good, right?
It was good.
It's
So
it's very good.
It touched my heart so much, and I knew that it was a part of who I was too. You're a great leader and a great example, and a great heart. I'm so grateful that you heard the call and that you're sharing. And it's not even what you're doing, it's that you are being, like you said, just being there. And I feel the same too. It's been a lot for me that way as well. I've done a lot as well, books and gatherings, things like that. But it's not the doing, it's the holding space, and it's the
Mm.
being there for people. And it's all the messages that I get. I don't even know how people find me
I
most of the
know.
time.
I
And
know.
but I get these messages where people feel I'm the person to connect with
Yeah.
about, the beginning of their journey. And I am the person that they're meant to connect with. And it
Yep.
doesn't even, you don't even have to say much, or you say like
Mm.
one phrase and it changes everything for them too.
Yeah.
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 And so it's just,
This is
yeah.
that energetic confirmation when you're confirming that everything that they're feeling is real. And that's
Yeah.
really all they need.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't about, for me, teaching any great wisdoms or anything else. I said what I said, whatever it was that I said. It was more, and that's the truth of why I came into this, why I said, yes, I will do this, because I knew it was about helping humanity. It
Mhm.
wasn't about teaching a whole lot about the Sasquatch, even though in that you do. It wasn't the point. The point was that this goes past you. It's about humanity. It's about individuals that we talk to, because then that individual talks to other individuals, and it just grows and grows and grows. And,
Exactly.
I feel like this ancient grandmother who sits back and watches all of these people that she's met through the years that are out there doing wonderful things and bringing people into this. And, it's like, it's such a special thing to see uh, that in my life, to be able to see people like you, and that, and maybe there are people that I've talked to very little, but something was said
Mhm.
that they needed to hear.
Yes.
And, and as well, and you too, Michael, with what you do, that there are times that you are prompted to say things that you're like, okay, okay. And
Mhm.
you're going, I know I'm supposed to say this, and so I'm going to say it. And then that's something that someone needed. You weren't thinking about that person or anything else.
Exactly.
And so, that's part of that heart connection, when you really do care about humanity and this earth and everything that's here.
Yes.
You
I'm
know,
glad.
there's a whole biblical thing going on here. We just had these biblical kind of floods, but there's something that happened with the Sasquatch people where how many stories have I heard where people saw a Sasquatch? It ran across the road. And they're talking about that in kind of a normal way. And then you hear them talk about it out, and their whole life has changed. They're researching, they're going to conferences, they're doing all this kind of stuff, and their whole life has changed. And it's sort of like I'm thinking like, well, Christ, he was like walking along the beach, and these fishermen just looked at him, dropped their nets, and started following him. That's what's going on. And not just, it's just kind of like a worldwide thing. It's not so dramatic or anything, but how many people just open up to Sasquatch, and all of a sudden they just feel that energy. They feel that this is
Yeah.
truth. This is going to be something I want to investigate. This is something I want to know. This is something I want to find out. I want that. That
Mhm.
I want. They have that feeling of I want that. To me, it's like this bigger than life biblical thing. There's three big players here on this earth right now. The angels who are doing the life after death kind of thing, the ETs who are doing all kinds of upgrading and uplifting, and the Sasquatch people. They're all on this team inside out. And each one of these ways is a way for people, an artery for awakening and transforming consciousness, transforming human beings. So to me, we're in the best of biblical times, not the hell and damnation, but the best of biblical times, you know.
Yes,
And
yes.
almost everybody's opening up to nature. What those the near-death experience people, almost universally they go, "Oh, I just, not so material now, and I'm just really into nature and gardening, and I like to hunt mushrooms and stuff." And it's like these near-death experience people, and same thing with the Star Nation people. They go, "Oh yeah, I have this. I'm relatives with the Star Nations here, and I work in an organic grocery store over here, and I mean, they're it's huge. The transformation is happening.
Yeah, it's a huge shift in our collective consciousness happening, and individual too. I mean, that's how it begins, your individual consciousness, but then with others. But I've met others that have had, near death experiences, or that, actually were dead for a few minutes. And they say that everything just came through so clearly for them, and when they came back, they realized what they had to do. And it's all connections with nature and with spirit, and everything
And
that's
Mother Earth and
entwined, and yeah,
the
everything
kids
entwined.
and
Yeah.
Yes, and the children, and yeah, everything like that. But first beginning with yourself, and then it's yeah, when you change your world, the world around you changes. And so that's what we're seeing a lot of, and it's absolutely beautiful to be a part of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
At
really,
this time right now, and I understand what you're saying in reference to biblical, because, it talks about you're going to get to that place of heaven, through all of these things, that perfect place. And I see that happening. Are we there yet? We could be in a blink of an eye, opening of a heart. And that was one of the things Kashima said. It's not about the quantity of those who are walking in this way, it is the quality
mhm,
of those who are walking in this way. And whether your road was Sasquatch that led you to this, whatever it was, if it was the plants, if it was the water, if it was anything that brought you to that heart space of opening and understanding that we are all a part of each other,
mhm.
that, we come to that place of what so many call that feeling of heaven. Um, I don't, people talk about being in the woods. Oh my gosh, it was just like heaven sitting there. You
Mhm,
hear that phrase so
mhm.
many times, and that's a connection too. We don't all have to walk the same road.
Exactly.
I mean, where we're going is the same place, but we don't
Yeah,
have to walk the same road.
yeah, no, it is heaven too. It really is. What makes me think of that, I mean, I love all of nature, but last year I got to visit the redwood forest for the first
Ah,
time, and I've wanted to go there my whole life. I've seen pictures of it, like one day I'll get there. And last year I got there, and it was heaven. It was
yeah,
heaven. There's, yeah, I can't
yeah,
even find
yep,
any more words to describe. It is heaven. It really
yeah,
was. And
yep,
with this whole journey too of helping each other as humans, and helping the planet and everything, and the Sasquatch are helping us so much, but it's important to remember how much we're helping them too. As a collective, they also have a lot of healing to do. The humans, yeah, no, like we messed up their world for a little bit, just like we're messing up this one, but it's all being corrected. But anyway, they have a lot of healing to do as well. And so the more that we're open about sharing about them, and who they are and everything like that, that helps them to heal as well. and opens up new opportunities for them too. There's stories of different Sasquatch, like the Sasquatch Message to Humanity mentions Limpatayuk, and there's many other beings, many other different scenarios and situations, but that's one that was written about, so I'm mentioning that. And he's the grumpy old white hermit living on the mountain, and that's how he self-describes himself. Even, he's just this grumpy old hermit, but and doesn't want anything to do with humans. But once he was introduced to Sunbow and me as well, like, he started to change his perspective. He started to realize that, oh, all humans aren't that way. There are some, and then so he started to, begin to heal and things like that. And another example that I just remembered, a friend of ours, Forrest Green. If you haven't had him on your show, you should. Anyway, he's also in North Carolina, in the Asheville area. But I met him at the Human and Fairy Relations Congress in Washington. I don't even remember what year that was, maybe 2018, I think. And so I was there. I was going to give a presentation about Sasquatch, but I saw him all weekend. I could see him from the distance, and I kept thinking, where do I know him? Like, that guy looks really familiar to me, and I'm just racking my brain trying to think of where I know him. And then one day, it's like you eat like potluck style community, whoever you end up sitting with at a bench and stuff. And so one day at lunch, we ended up sitting together and talking, and he's telling me, oh, I can see the Sasquatch. He's like, there's two Sasquatch standing behind you right now, a male and a female. And I was like, yes. And so this is George and Suni, and he's describing them to me. And I'm like, this is really amazing. Like that. I mean, this is a real authentic connection. There's authentic connections all the time, but to hear him describing the beings that I know are standing behind me, that was just really incredible. So that was a wonderful connection. And it's been, a friendship since then. And he's come to our gatherings a few times. But the point is, with all that, is that one time Forrest was telling me about a Sasquatch encounter that he had. It was a dream, which was more than a dream, but there were 3 Sasquatch on a hill. Anyway, long story short, he adopted a new, I don't want to say adopted, but a new Sasquatch guide came into his awareness, one that he's working with, regularly. And it's a young Sasquatch. And he's like, I was expecting like some older, wise, somebody like Camus, some older, wise Sasquatch to be like giving me these teachings and everything like that. And I didn't even think about it. I just said it. And I said, Forrest, I said, you're the elder. And it just opened up so much for him. He's like, oh my God, like you're right. He's like, there are Sasquatch that you learn from, but this is one for me to teach. This is one that wants to know what I know. And so it changed his perspective on everything. And so it goes that way with a lot of us too. And we don't realize that. We expect all of these, big wise lessons and everything to come from the Sasquatch. That's not always the case. Sometimes the lessons come in different ways, and sometimes it's an opportunity for us to come into more of who we are and share our knowledge and share our energy in different ways.
Yeah. I think one of the most profound things that was said to me by her name is Meridia, and she is the oldest of the family, the oldest child of the family that's here. And she said this to me many years ago. We were talking, and she said, what is the fascination you humans have with your body? And I just sat there like gobsmacked. There's so many levels to what she said.
Mm-hmm.
A simple statement from a young one.
Yeah.
And I had thought of that question, and it began to unravel. There would be a piece of information about that, and then there would be something in another way, because that was so multi-layered. I began to learn about this fascination we humans have with our body. And most people would think, oh, that's about makeup and all this other stuff and, wanting to be thin. But it wasn't just that. There was such a deeper teaching
Mm-hmm.
in that. And that's one thing I've learned through the years, is that the young ones say some of the most profound things. And I had another experience with a grandmother down in the Comishi Mountains. There's been a lot of stuff has happened down in the Comishi Mountains. A lot of disrespect, huge disrespect. And I was at a gathering. There were quite a few of us, and there was a huge meadow. And we had gone to play our drums and sing, and just orbs started coming in, huge orbs. And you could see the faces in the orbs, and it was just like a fog had swept through that meadow, and there were all these orbs, some of them soccer ball size and a little bigger, some smaller.
Wow.
And I was standing over at the edge of the meadow, just talking to them, asking for their guidance, and this was very early on for me, to do what it was I knew I was supposed to do. And there was this grandmother that was standing there, this grandmother Sasquatch, by these that I was talking to, and she wasn't saying anything. She was just standing there listening. And finally, I spoke to her, and she very well let me know that what I'm saying will be proven or not. And that's all she's basically what she said to me.
What
And
she
so,
said, don't get your britches too big, right?
or, almost like I'll be the judge of that. So, what I
Right.
was saying. So, the next year, I was back down there camping, and she was there again, and there was the biggest smile on her face. I broke down crying, and I just thanked her so much for seeing in me that worthiness to do what it was I knew I was supposed to do. So their wisdom and teaching comes in all ways, whether we're the teacher or the student. And as a teacher, you're as much a student as you are a teacher. So,
Oh yeah, always. And it seems like it's the young ones that are the teachers for the older ones a lot. Yeah. Yeah, everything really opened up for me after. It was actually like during pregnancy, and then after, like that's it yeah, that's where all my consciousness started changing,
oh,
yeah, big
amazing.
time.
Such good stuff.
It is. And Arla, I've always like called you, maybe not, I don't know, I might have told you this, but it, at least to myself, I've always called you like the grandmother of the Bigfoot world, for real. So you were saying that, I was like, no, you really are. You are the grandmother of the whole Bigfoot community. You have so much knowledge and wonderful things to share, your experiences, the books that you've written about the experiences, and everything like that. And it's come right at the perfect time,
Thank
just
you.
right
I
at the perfect
appreciate
time.
that so
Yeah.
much.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
I've just been sitting here just feeling my heart fill almost continuously with this really nice love vibration. And I don't think it's any particular thing that's being said. I think it was everything and nothing, but it's just this feeling of love, you know? And thank you both for that and for the Sasquatch who are our assistants and relatives. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's really what it's all about, you know. Sasquatch said, I think it was Arla was talking about, was she said that what Sasquatch was saying, the greatest love is the love you show. And no matter what it is, if you're showing that love, whether it's a rock or a feather or just a feeling or an inspiration, if you're if that's the love that's being shown, that's the greatest love that there is. And Sasquatch are masters at that.
Mhm.
They can give you love in so personally and in so many different ways. Um, I just think they're amazing that way.
Me too. And I'm feeling their presence in all of this too. Like I said, I feel it's not just something energetically you pick up either, but I get actual sensations in my physical body, like I said, the heart fluttering and kind of this hot and cold thing or whatever it is. But whenever there's people coming together, even just two people, whatever, talking about them and appreciating them and honoring them, and having the type of conversation that we're having right now, I always feel it like so intensely. It's this constant little all over my
Yeah.
chest and inside of my heart. Yeah, yeah, little heart flutters, butterflies. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we're going to go much further than that. I mean, what an amazing show it's been so far. I want to give you every chance to sum up everything and any messages you have for humanity or anything you want to say. Don't leave anything on the table.
Okay, yeah. It's hard to, where do I begin? See, I'm going to keep going back to that question, Michael. Yeah, where do I begin? Well, I'll just, summarize or whatever and just say, like, thank you so much for having me on the show here. This was a beautiful conversation. I'd love to be on again and continue it and take it in different directions, even, there's like so much to discuss and so many things to talk about. So yeah, I mean, we didn't say a whole lot about the Sasquatch message to humanity. So anybody that hasn't heard about that, these are wonderful books. They can be read online too. The website where you can find a lot of information is www.sasquatchmessage.com. And these books, the first two books were written by Sunbow Truebrother. When he was writing them, I discovered them, and the Sasquatch urged me to publish them, even though I had no idea what I was doing, but they guided that whole process. And so and then there was a third book, which I wrote the first, I think, 12 chapters of it. And there's 9 other authors in that too. So there's 3 books in the series, and it's just incredible, wonderful information. From the Sasquatch directly, talking about who they are, who we are, our connection to each other and the planet and all of life, understanding the history of the planet, the energetics of the planet, our multi-dimensional nature. I mean, it just goes into so much, and it's answered so many questions that I've had like my entire life. So anyway, I really highly recommend reading them if you want to just understand things better. I have another website for the gatherings that we host. Like I said, I need to sit behind my computer more and update these things as well. But there's www SasquatchFamilyReunion.com. It's also Children of Earth Coalition. That's the umbrella name I kind of use for everything I do. So it has two web addresses. So it's also www.childrenoferthcoalition, and that talks about the different gatherings and kind of things that we have going on. You can sign up for a newsletter and all of that. And so yeah, and you can find me on Facebook, Kelly Rainbow Butterfly. And as far as like, important messages to share, I mean, I think we've heard so much here on the talk today. I have channeled from, I don't even want to say it's the Sasquatch. I couldn't tell you the source. It's everything. It's my higher self and everything that's included in who I am and in my heart. Several different poems, or what I call heart songs, because that's what they are. And so I'd like to share a couple for you right now. One that's really heartfelt to me, and it goes along with, what we have talked about today. And the other one's a little bit more fun and summarizes everything. But so
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay, I got to find which one it is. Okay, so here's the first one that I wanted to share. And so let's start to pick apart the reasons why we're here. Make no mistake, it is our fate. The lessons are quite clear. It all began with one small thought of curiosity. And from that thought was born the world of pole duality. And so the one we all come from was fractured and divided. And so we noticed differences that made us so short-sighted. Eventually, we chose our place, beliefs, and race and planet. But the further that we splintered out, the more that we forgot it. And so we lived with different thoughts with these identities, from Lyra, Vega, Sirius, Orion, and the Pleiades. For eons now, there have been wars among these many beings. Some want peace, some want control, but we all want the same thing. This journey in polarity looks different in perspectives, but these poles serve us to remind that we are all relatives. The agenda for each one of us is to return to source, the source that's always been within, despite our chosen course. Now, here we are as human beings on this planet we call Earth. Are you ready to resolve this trauma we've been reliving since her birth? I am. The drama started long before the planet Earth existed. So as we shift, we have a chance again to be uplifted. So let's remember who we are, where we come from, and why. Remember that we are all one, connected to the sky. Let's breathe and love and share and hold each other's hand. And together we can once again create a sacred land. So that's just one of them.
That was beautiful.
I can share these. Thank you. There's a whole bunch of these too. If anyone's interested, I could share. They're online somewhere. If you search for the word omnicosmic heart songs, I think that's what I call them. Omnicosmic connection heart songs. If you search for that, you can find them all. But I'm going to summarize this here with another little poem in honor of the Sasquatch. And so we will remind you of our closest Earth descent. The Sasquatch people have a lot of truth they can present. Our DNA is 99% the same as theirs. The biggest difference is our size and the number of our hairs. The Bigfoot people are sentient beings and carekeepers of our planet. But they're also our big brothers helping us to heal our habits. This hairy race of humanoids still sit with our star elders. They teach of love and honesty They're mankind's greatest helpers. Like us, they're here to integrate and heal themselves and others. And when we do, it all affects our sisters and our brothers. So listen to their wisdom and apply it to your life. Your soul will quickly know its truth in your divine birthright. They say the time is urgent now to change humanity. If we don't, we will repeat another history. The only thing for sure is change, and it's happening right now. So please assist our race and theirs by beginning to allow.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yes, you're welcome. So I felt guided to share those.
I'm glad you did.
And those are activations too. I to realize
I felt that. I
the
felt there
series
was something
and which
special about it.
yeah, they are. They're activations. Often when I would do these, like if I've done it for a workshop or something for a gathering, I'll follow it up with some certain words and key codes and some kind of sound, either crystal bowls or Tibetan singing bowls or bells or something to kind of help activate that within you too. And it's really cool. So it's beautiful, heartfelt words, but it also, I think, just really awakens something when you hear them.
Okay, well, you can give me some of that information in the messages, and I'll put it on the YouTube channel. And
Okay.
we got a lot of people, 17 or so comments, and I just was so happy to have you. I think I remember interviewing you for the first and the second of your gatherings. That was like 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. It's quite a while ago. Things have changed a lot since then. So yes. And just keep growing. Like I said, even if the gatherings have gotten smaller in size, they have grown in quality, and the heart connections and everything like that. So it's really beautiful. And even like I said, when people aren't able to physically make it, it's still like this bigger connection that's been made, and especially you can see it on this wonderful world of Facebook, just how many people are connected. And that's just on Facebook, that's not like real life. People really call each other and like have 2-hour long conversations and talk about Sasquatch and all of these different things. So yeah, it's wonderful. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share for this wonderful conversation today.
I would like to have you back on, because there's just to talk about the book, if we did that, because um that's a little game changer here on planet Earth, in my opinion. It's a game changer. To hear another species who's closely related to us give us an inside story about what the Earth is all about what the energy of the Earth is all about, what the history of the Earth is all about, and our relationship to the species that are on this planet. That's a big game changer. I guess I'm prejudiced because I like Sasquatch, but
but it is, and it's also because we are so closely related to them, because they're the first mammal people. As the book explains, there's been a long evolution on Earth. The fish people, and the reptiles and the bird people and the ant people, all of these different races that are the highly intelligent, the most conscious beings on the planet at these different times and these different eras. Watch, we're the first mammal people, and we're mammal people. So we really are, direct descendants. We have so much to learn from them. And that's why we also feel like such a close connection. And you probably know Melba Ketchum's work, and what she's discovered is that the Sasquatch are 99 point are basic 99% human and 1%, who knows, nothing of this
Yep.
planet that they're able to identify.
Yeah.
But 99% human. So, we couldn't be any more closely related, and that's and so anyway, they're just able to remind us so much of
one thing I want to
who we
throw in
are,
that
where
gets
we came from.
that gets lost, and that is that the ET people really want to stop in and say hello, set up shops, maybe do some, you know, workshops and stuff to kind of boost the stuff. They want to be able to be accepted here on planet Earth, and the Sasquatch are really the canary in the coal mine. If we can't accept a a hybrid human who lives alongside of us, as part of us, and if we can't stop shooting them, then it's what are the AETs going to do? If they're wildly different than we are, then there's not going to be an acceptance for them. So there's a huge turning point in history. The ET community and the Sasquatch community and the human beings, and that's what's actually playing out right now. It's a big story, and Sasquatch are a big part of it because the ETs will not, sit up camp on planet Earth if they're not if we can't even accept our own animal brothers and the Sasquatch family.
Exactly. And that's why so many of these connections, they all begin in the heart and with the inner journey, because it wouldn't be accepted even if they stepped out here and knocked on your front door.
Nope.
If your
Nope.
next door neighbor's not open to it, they're not even going to believe that that's what's happening.
Yep.
So it's all this internal journey, and that's how they're able to communicate with us is through the heart space, through the emotions. Yeah.
No.
Any last words, Arla?
Wonderful.
I'm in heaven. I'm
Well,
just
got that
sitting here
afterglow
and
thing going on.
I've got the afterglow. Oh, thank you so
We'll
much,
leave
you guys.
everybody with a nice afterglow because I got it too. It was a real
Yeah,
special
I
day.
can
Thank you to the Sasquatch elders for stepping in and giving us all a love zap.
And
Thank you.
anytime you have something you need to say or want to bring, you just let us know. I mean, we can do this.
Yeah. All right.
Excellent.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for showing up, and
Okay.
catch us on
Bye.
YouTube.
Love
Watch it
you.
tonight.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
This light code activation video came to me from a group of star people, Sasquatch ancients, and others who are working together to help support the earth and humanity. I was allowed to video this transmission as they knew I would share it in a good way. May it bless you as you open up your heart through your higher self to receive. Many blessings to you.
way ah hey oh way ya, way ah hey oh elo, Elohim way ya, way hey yo, way ya, way ah hey oh way ya, way ah hey oh elo. Elohim, away, away, yo. Way, way, hey, way. Way ah hey oh elo, Elohim oh way ah way hey yo.